Tips with Tony. Tips with Tony. All about nutrition from your favorite dietitian. Everything you need to digest in your mind. Tips with Tony. Tips with Tony. Making you healthier one bite at a time. With Tony. Woo.
Hello and welcome to the Tips with Tony podcast. I'm Tony Marinucci, your registered dietitian, helping you get healthy one bite at a time. I'm so excited to be recording this because it's been about 2 weeks since Once Upon a Diet, my new book, has been out on Amazon, and you guys have blown me away with the amount of orders and purchases and feedback and joy and excitement and celebration of me, and I am so grateful to you. So if you haven't gotten your copy yet, go to the link in the show notes to get your copy of Once Upon a Diet. It is available via paperback, Kindle, and hopefully by the time you're listening to this audio, the review process for that has taken a lot longer, but it should be out. By the time this episode comes out, it should be available to you. So I just wanted to give you complete just thanks and gratitude, and I appreciate you. The feedback has been, it's a quick read, it's inspired me to create real change, it's honest, it's raw, it's vulnerable, and I really appreciate that because obviously talking about, my own history and journey, I'm usually pretty open and vulnerable, but in the book, I go a little bit deeper, and I also share about past relationships I've been in because it's all about the parallels between dieting, dating, and romantic relationships, hence the name Once Upon a Diet. And it's pretty in-depth. So I just appreciate your feedback and your honesty, and thank you for making me feel safe to open up and be vulnerable with you guys. So go get your copy if you haven't yet. And today, we are talking about 5 reasons why you're not making progress in your health journey. And we are going to, while I talk about it, I'm going to give you tips on what you can do instead. So it's not to just bash you and tell you all the things you're not doing. That's obviously not the thing. I want to empower you. I want you to feel inspired, and I want you to shift to learn how to make progress on your own. Okay? Or with the support of others. But regardless, it is up to you at the end of the day to make these shifts and these changes. So the first thing is that, and I'm sorry if this sounds repetitive, I don't know how many of my episodes you've listened to or other people's podcasts, but if you've heard this before, I apologize. So the first thing, the reason why you're not making progress is because you haven't clearly defined your why or your vision, who you want to be, where you want to go, what type of life you want to live, what do you want to feel like. You haven't been descriptive enough, and you haven't gone below the surface. You got to get deep. It can't just be to have a 6-pack. That's not, and also that doesn't make you healthy or not, right? That's just you being able to decrease your body fat enough to see your abs, which some people's bodies are, really close to that, and some people have to go to the extremes to get there. So all that to say, not as one good or bad, but that can't be your reason. Okay. Your reason has to be attached to a feeling or an emotion or even a certain lifestyle that you want to live. So I'll give you an example. Looking a certain way, totally fine. You can have aesthetic goals. That's fine. But if that's your only goal, you will never feel like it's enough. And you're constantly going to feel like you're fighting for losing those last 5 pounds. Shout out to my book, chapter 5. Some of you got a preview to that chapter where I kind of talk about why trying to lose the last 5 pounds is really, really dangerous, and can often do more harm than good. But I digress. Anyways, so if your focus is solely on a number or an aesthetic goal, it's going to be really difficult to stick to rather than when you attach it to things like, I want to feel strong. I want to feel energized. If you have a past medical history or a medical condition, or you're at risk for something and you don't want to have to take medication, that's definitely a more important driver because that's literally directly correlated to your health. You just want a higher quality of life. So the type of life you want to live is you want to be able to go after that promotion. You want to be able to work really hard, but you need the energy to do that. So maybe you can retire early so you can spend more quality time with your loved ones. You want to have the confidence to show up on social media because maybe your job is dependent on you showing up on social media, or showing up in the workspace. I think just every day, being able to feel confident in your clothes and confident in your skin and confident, in front of the mirror and confident in the public, like these are all really important drivers that will really affect what the rest of your life looks like. It will affect the partners you attract, which you read about in my book. It will affect your happiness. It will affect your relationships, not even just romantic partnerships, but how many of you are running around, and I've definitely been there too. And I notice sometimes my energy gets short as well, like where I might snap at my like a child. Like my boyfriend's daughter is 5 and she's been in my life since she was 2. And even now I'm kind of noticing that if I don't prioritize my rest and my care or fueling my body, I might be a little bit short with her. She doesn't deserve that. She's 5 years old. And I know if you're a mom or a parent or even a babysitter or an aunt or an uncle, you probably have had a similar experience. And that's just a sign that's saying, hold on, wait a minute, let me take care of myself a little bit better, because I definitely shouldn't be barking at this 5-year-old. I also shouldn't be barking at like my dog or my cat. Like if they're getting on your nerves and normally they're your favorite thing to snuggle and cuddle with, there's something to be said there, right? So all that to say, when you're trying to make progress on your health journey, you're going to get hit with many different barriers and things, and we have to continue living our life. But with that said, so I say that to say, you are going to not always feel motivated and you're going to get thrown off your rocker a few times, but the vision, the why brings you back. That helps you back bounce faster, right? So that leads to the next thing. So reason number 1, you're having trouble making progress is because you haven't clearly defined your vision or your why, and it's not deep enough. Reason number 2 is you haven't truly fully committed to the process. You haven't made that commitment to decide, you know what, this is it. I'm tired of being tired. I'm ready to, feel my best most days. And I'm done giving up when things aren't convenient. So what often happens when you're not fully committed is when things kind of go south, when you didn't buy enough groceries to prepare your food at home, or when someone kind of offers or who decides like, let's go out to dinner. In your mind, you just say, oh, it's not perfect, so screw it, right? Which we're going to get to the mindset next. But all that to say is that it's not always going to be perfect. So you can't only eat healthy when it's convenient to you. You can't only work out when you feel like it. Although there's times in your journey we're going to be able to learn to listen to that. In the very beginning stages, you kind of you need to make choices that align with who you are, who you want to be, and how you want to feel, right? So often that means that you're going to get thrown, lots of different things are going to get thrown at you. You're going to be tempted to, sleep in a little bit or skip your workout or, go out drinking with a friend or order takeout. And that's totally fine. You can totally do those things. But if that happens and now you're like, oh, screw it, I'm not fully committed to this process, then it's going to take you a lot longer to get to your goal. So within that, which leads to number 3, it's when those things kind of come in your way, instead of you saying, screw it, you ask yourself, how do I want to show up at this party? How do I want to show up when I go to this restaurant? How do I want to feel after, right? So it's learning to, just because you're going out drinking doesn't mean you need to binge drink, right? Just because you're going to a restaurant doesn't need to mean that you have to order all of the, the less healthy options on the menu. There's ways to find balance in all of it, which leads to reason number 3 why you're not making progress is you're stuck in that all or nothing mindset. This is something I often talk about, and you probably have heard a bazillion times. But you need to be committed to the process, but flexible in the approach. So 2 and 3 are very similar, but they're different in that once you are fully committed to the process and flexible in your approach, what that means is instead of you kind of doing it at 100% and giving all your energy and then burning out and then giving up and saying, screw it, you need to embrace a balanced mindset. You need to constantly be looking at food as fuel and as a way of, it can also be enjoyment, but how often am I using it as nourishment and enjoyment? How often am I using it as nourishment and enjoyment? And then how often am I using it almost like as a crutch or a band-aid or kind of like the thing that I decide to feel when I decide I feel like life's going out of control. So I decide to use food as a thing that I manipulate to feel that sense of control. That's an unhealthy relationship with food. That means that our perception of how to utilize food is skewed. We need to look at food as something that's enjoyable, something that is nourishing, something that provides us with energy, something that provides us with nutrients to prevent, ailments, keeping us healthy and helping us feel good. Because honestly, when I don't eat enough, I feel like crap. I can't focus. I'm irritable. I'm tired. I'm frustrated, right? On the other side, if I overeat, oh my God, it's the worst feeling. It's just so uncomfortable, right? So when we have that balanced mindset, it's learning how to honor our hunger. Eat when we're hungry, stop when we're full. It's learning how to eat nutrient-dense foods majority of the time, while also allowing for those cravings, when we have those cravings for something kind of sweet or salty or higher in maybe that's fried or something, we allow ourselves to have it so we don't feel deprived. But that doesn't mean we go kind of ham with it and just have all of it because we quote unquote need to start again on Monday. No, a balanced mindset is going to a restaurant, ordering that more indulgent item on the menu that you really, really want, and then balancing out the rest, right? And so maybe you really want that pasta, you allow yourself to have the pasta, but then maybe you say no thank you to the bread basket on the table. You get a side salad with some little grilled chicken on it to balance it out. That's how we have that balanced mindset, right? What it's not is eating quote unquote perfect or clean Monday through Friday and then a free-for-all on the weekend, because technically you're balancing it out, right? You're under-eating during the week, you're overeating on the weekend. That's not the sort of balance we're thinking about. We want to be thinking about balance as a daily thing, right? Even with our rest, you might do really, really hard workouts. But if you're going to do really, really hard workouts, then you want to make sure you're also recovering, stretching, foam rolling, hydrating, sleeping, taking a rest day, right? These are things that it's all about learning your body and making sure that you have that balance. So you'll hear me say balance so much, but it's so, so helpful. And then the other thing that I actually also wanted to say is I think going back to number 2 about being fully committed to the process and instead of doing things only when it's convenient, I think it's important to know that life is always busy, so it's not always going to be perfect. So with that said, you can't wait for the perfect circumstances to get started. I'm recording this now and it's October. We're about to enter the holidays, and a lot of people are resistant to taking care of their health in the holidays. They almost feel like, what's the point? I have a completely different mindset. I believe that the holidays are the perfect opportunity for you to practice because there is so much temptation. And if you could learn how to navigate the holidays in a balanced way, you could freaking crush the rest of the year. So I'm going to challenge you to really practice making progress now instead of waiting until January 1st, because that means you're not fully committed to the process. That means you think that taking care of your health and taking care of yourself is a temporary thing, but that's not true. Taking care of yourself is an ongoing thing. And self-care is important. And we have to be consistently filling our cup first so that we can be there for others. And at first seems like a lot of effort, but the more you make it your habit and just who you are as a person is you're just someone who gets 7 to 8 hours of sleep every night. You're someone who hydrates with water. You're someone who eats balanced meals 3 times a day. You're someone who snacks when they're hungry and stops eating when they're full. You're someone who, when they go out, they love to have a drink or two or have some, they have some French fries or something that maybe isn't the most nutritious option, but they also balance it out. Or sometimes they, even when they're craving something, they're like, you know what, this alternative actually would be equally as satisfying. And they kind of understand and know when it's time to like swap it out and when it's time to have the real deal. And that truly is becoming more of an intuitive eater in a way, or even a more mindful eater. I won't even use the word intuitive, a more mindful eater, and just knowing who you are and what your needs are and honoring them. And that's truly when it comes to being committed to the process and getting rid of that all or nothing mindset. The second kind of caveat to that, or the layer to that, I don't think caveat's the right word, layer to that is just understanding that life is always busy. So if you're waiting for life to kind of slow down, you're going to be waiting forever. I mean, think about it. Last year, 2020, we had the pandemic and we were forced to slow down. I know for some of you, if you were in healthcare, it's the opposite. Your life went on high speed. Especially, and also too, if you had to like teach your kids from home. I know not everybody had that circumstance, but some of you did have all of this time on your hand, all of this idea that once things slowed down, it'd be the perfect opportunity for you to establish healthier habits, yet it didn't happen. And that's not to shame you or make you feel bad. It's just the reality that until you decide that you're going to make the shift, regardless of the circumstances, you will remain stuck. And that's just the reality. That's just what I've seen. I've been doing this for a very, very long time. So moving on. So number 4, the fourth reason why you're not making progress is the plan itself. So if your version of getting healthy is getting rid of all carbohydrates or excluding an entire food group or entire macronutrient for no reason other than you think it's good for you, meaning you've never had any sort of like body reaction, even if you took like a food allergy test, unless it's something like celiac disease where you're really allergic to gluten, or in yourself, you really have noticed that when you eat it, you really don't feel well, you feel bloated, you feel sick. If you're just excluding it because you think that it's healthier for you, I'm going to caution you, please don't do that. There is no reason to exclude these laundry list of foods. So many people avoid things like rice and pasta and breads, but there's so many nutritious alternatives to those things that you can incorporate. And it's important that you want to make sure that the plan you're following is not something that is super low calorie, right? If it's a 1200 calorie meal plan, throw that crap out. If it's something that's encouraging you that you have to drink a shake or and you only get one meal a day, cough, cough, Optavia, it's the worst. That's not something that you want to follow long term. It also tells you to not exercise while doing it. That's a big red flag, right? So it's important that the plan you're following is realistic. It's something that you can see yourself doing longer than 6 months. If you can honestly say to me that you're okay with never having pizza ever again, never having a cocktail with your friends ever again, never having, or the opposite, having to have a shake 1 to 2 times a day for the rest of your life, never having fruit again. Some programs and plans demonize fruit, never learning how to have a piece of cake or a slice of cake and be done with it. Like if you're truly okay with that, then go for it. But most people I know, and I was going to make a joke, but I don't want to offend anyone. But like if you're kind of fun and normal or sane, you're going to want to have a piece of cake every once in a while. You're going to want to learn how to have pizza. I probably have pizza like once every 2 weeks, sometimes once a week. I know many families, it's like part of their weekly routine, and that's totally okay. It's learning how to balance it so you could, that's just learning how to balance it. Like there's nothing wrong with pizza, but we have there's certain cultures, diet culture or programs that you might have followed that I told you not allowed to have that, you can't have that. And so many people, the plan they're following is all about what to take out. But we need to switch our focus to what can we add in? More sleep, more water, more fruit, more vegetables. Even the language of I'm going to eat out less. So I'm going to do less takeout or I'm going to do less dining out at a restaurant. that is still fixated on what you're having lack rather than thinking about, I'm going to cook more at home. Doesn't that feel and sound so much more empowering? I'm going to cook more. I'm going to prepare more nutritious dishes. I'm going to encourage myself to make a new recipe with a new vegetable or fruit or part of an ingredient that I've never tried before, a new spice or a new herb, whatever it is. Focus on what you can have more of rather than less of. And if you do that, then you're naturally going to start to feel a difference in, what foods, how certain foods make you feel. And that's really, really going to help you in the long run. So the other thing I would say that is probably why you keep getting so caught up in and struggling with making progress within the plan itself is you're probably fixated on the very complex things when in actuality, real progress, sustainable progress, whether it's health, weight loss, whatever it is, sustainable change truly comes from the simple things, the basic simple things done consistently. And I promise you that the more you focus on a little bit of movement, a little bit more water, a little bit more vegetables, a little bit more protein, a little bit more fruit, a little more nutritious snacks, a little bit more meals at home, a little bit more rest days, or a little bit more high intensity days, depending on what the stage of your journey, wherever that is. I promise you, when you focus on what you can add in rather than what you can take out, you will have a big shift in making progress. And when you focus on the simple things, the very little things, the things that seem minute, the littlest things, like the things like you're about to go to bed and you're like, oh crap, I didn't put the dinner in my Tupperware container for lunch tomorrow. And you decide that, you know what, I'm going to go wrap it up really quick and then go to bed. Amazing. That's the little thing, right? The littlest thing of eating breakfast. See, for some of you, that might seem like a big thing. But if you consistently notice that at the end of the night, I'm going to use other people's words. These are not my words, but I've worked with many people. They'll say that at night they become a savage. They just eat everything they see. And it's so hard for them to control what they're eating because they're starving because they haven't eaten all day. And if you're stuck in that pattern, then the simplest thing is eating breakfast consistently is going to be a game changer for you. Right? The simple thing, using the plate method at dinner. So if you're new to my podcast or my platform, or just in general, maybe you never heard of the plate method. The plate method is something that you can use. It's not a rule. We don't do food rules. It's a guide. It's a structure where you fill half of your plate with non-starchy vegetables, a quarter of your plate with protein, and the other quarter of your plate with a complex starch, something that's high in fiber. So quinoa, brown rice, a starchy vegetable like sweet potato, right? Your protein, we want to keep on the leaner side. So like using healthy cooking methods like baked, grilling, or broiling, or even steaming, right? And then your non-starchy veggies. So that's half the plate veggies, quarter protein, quarter starch. To some of you, you're like, oh, that's super easy. I can do that. And that's all you do. Just at dinner, you focus on using the plate method. That's all you do. Believe it or not, that's going to be enough. You're going to see some progress. For some of you, you're like, oh, that's a little bit of a stretch for me. What can I do that is a little bit more like getting close to that, right? We're not doing the all or nothing thing, but it doesn't feel like such of a stretch. Maybe you don't eat vegetables now. So let's get you consistently eating one serving of veggies 4 to 5 nights out of the week. So you don't even need to fill up your whole half of your plate, but at least you're putting it on the plate. And at least it's on the plate most nights. That alone is huge. And I'll encourage you, this is kind of a caveat, but if you're someone who doesn't like vegetables, I would choose the ones that you actually do like. I'm sure there's probably like 1 or 2. It's okay if that's your main vegetable most days. Slowly add and change the way in which you prepare it. So maybe you don't like broccoli steamed because it's boring, obviously. But maybe you like it sauteed with garlic and oil with a little bit of marinara sauce on top. That's delicious, right? Maybe you don't like carrots raw, but you like them cooked. That's great. Try it out that way. So there's always ways for you to change it up a little bit. And it seems so small and insignificant, but if you try a new way of preparing something and now you like it, now you're consistently eating vegetables with your dinner, now you're eating more fiber. Now you're filling up on more nutritious foods. You're getting more vitamin A, vitamin C, iron, depending on what your food is. It's an excellent thing to do. So instead of following these plans that are super rigid, super restrictive, and so complex, focus on the basics, focus on the little things, and focus on what you can have more of or add in rather than take away. All right, last number 5, the 5th reason why you're not making progress is you're lacking the support. And this is so common in all aspects. Think about if you are struggling with a alcohol addiction or a drug addiction, or anything in life where you really need to like step away from the toxicity, right? So diet culture, restriction, going from, I'm going to try intermittent fasting today and I'm going to try keto tomorrow. And then the next day I'm going to do keto and intermittent fasting. And oh, that doesn't work. So I'm going to try Whole30. Oh, that didn't work. I'm just going to try on my own. I'm just going to go on my own little health kick and make up my own rules. And just like this constant cycle of dieting and restricting and dieting and restricting. And we live in a society where this is almost normal, where it's like common that we see that. All that to say, if you are hanging around people, your friends, your family members, and they're doing the same thing. They've tried Optavia, they tried Weight Watchers, now they're doing Beachbody, now they're doing Noom, now they're all of these things, but they're never really fully following it to the, not even that. I just want to say, it's just not for them, right? Those plans and programs are guidelines and general and really rigid rules, and they're not something that I would encourage you to do long term, and they're also not something I would really encourage you to do much of. But once you read my book, Once Upon a Diet, you'll kind of understand how to be introspective in those processes. But all that to say, if those are the people you hang around that are doing all of those things, it's going to be really hard for you to break away from that. And it can be addicting and almost toxic to be constantly restricting and thinking about what you need to take away and trying this and looking outside yourself rather than looking inside yourself and asking you, what is it that I need, right? So I want to caution you to be careful who you surround yourself with. If you're following certain accounts on social media, depending on if you're on specific Facebook groups, there's going to be things and accounts that are triggering and are also just not really what you want to be following. So instead, follow dietitians who promote a balanced approach. Follow accounts that are all about health and wellness and self-care. Follow accounts that promote intuitive eating or mindfulness, or teaching you constantly, their messaging is constantly helping you understand that there's no one size fits all approach. It's really just all about figuring out what works best for you, but they give helpful tips within that. Those are the sorts of accounts you want to be following. Those are the sorts of Facebook groups you want to be following, and specific conversations with family and friends. You can exclude yourself and just limit your exposure to those people or where you're sitting at that, party or family dinner or table, and really just excuse yourself from that conversation, because being around people who are still stuck in that diet mindset, who are still stuck in the all or nothing mindset, who are still following plans that are super restrictive, that is not going to be helpful to you, right? So you need to take full accountability for yourself in knowing that they can do what they want to do, but you're done with that. You're not doing that. And instead, put yourself in situations where you feel comfortable and confident around your loved ones. It could also be, honestly, completely separate from just like diet and fitness, but just in general, if you're hanging around people that just like don't make you feel good, right? Or like sucking from your energy, or like constantly like taking from you and not filling your cup up or making you feel energized or kind of proud or confident in that room, then limit how often you hang out with them, or be intentional about hanging out with those people that you love connecting with, that you love talking to, right? That when you get on a phone call with them, you feel inspired, you feel energized, right? If you have a passion, hang around with people in that passion. Those are the things that are going to light you up, and you're going to feel better. And because you feel better, you're going to want to do better. You're going to want to treat yourself better, right? It's when we feel like we're being taken advantage of, when we feel like we have the energy sucked out of us, when we feel down, where we don't make the best choices for us. We don't do things that are aligned with us, and we come further and further away from our goal and our vision and our why, and then we don't make choices that align with who we want to be, right? So it all comes together. Okay? So I want to do a quick recap, and then I'll have a few announcements. So top 5 reasons why you're not making progress in your health journey is: 1, you haven't clearly defined your why, your vision. It's just not deep enough. 2, you're really not fully committed to the process. You're kind of just doing things when they're convenient. So therefore, when things go south, you're like, screw it, and you kind of forgot why you started in the first place. 3, you're stuck in that all or nothing mindset we talked about. We really need to fix more on like that balance. 4, the plan itself, if it's too rigid, too restrictive, it's not going to work in the long run. So really focus on what you can add in, and can I do this for more than 6 months? I think that will be really helpful in that process. And then 5, you lack the support. So all that to say, there are many different ways in which you can continue to work on this. So this podcast episode hopefully gave you a lot of ideas and inspiration, but I want to be there for you to support your journey. So first thing you can do is get the copy of my book, Once Upon a Diet, where I discuss the Once Upon a Diet method and helping you kind of figure out what works best for you. So that's option number 1. Option number 2, I have a free Facebook group where I can put the link in the show notes where you can join to be part of that like-minded community and support, where you're constantly not really feeling about I'm wanting to empower you and feel good rather than feeling down, right? Number 3, to get back to the basics, the foundations. I have my Healthy Livings Foundations course on my website, and it's only $97. I decided to cut the price in more than half to really just encourage you to do something rather than nothing. I really want you to start to learn that the smallest investment in your health is the biggest gain. It's just to get you started. So the Healthy Livings Foundations course is a great way for you to get started. It'll take you about 4 weeks to complete, and it will cover all of those things we talked about today. The mindset, truly learning proper nutrition education so you don't continue to fall for these plans or follow these plans that are just not suitable for you. We talk about different tracking systems to help bring awareness, to help with that mindfulness, to teach you how to navigate those social situations. We talk about meal prep basics. If one of the things you're working on is learning how to cook from home a little bit more. I talk about managing emotional eating, so managing your stress and your energy and learning for ways to cope with your emotions outside of food. There's a module about physical activity and figuring out what works best for you to create something that encourages movement and consistency. And then lastly, there's actually a whole module about creating boundaries and communicating with your loved ones to keep that support. Okay, so that's super, super important. Then the last way in which you can continue to make sure, and this is the way I'm most confident you are going to make the progress, because we really do hold your hand in this process, is the 6 months to food freedom coaching program. So in that program, you will get paired with a dietitian on my team, and you will work with them on a weekly or bi-weekly basis for 6 months while they help you to cultivate a plan that's specifically individualized to you, your lifestyle, your biology, your past medical history, your current medical history, your family medical history, your likes, your dislikes, your workload, your schedule. We just had someone join who is a night shift worker, and she works in the ICU as a nurse practitioner overnights. Like, that's a big demand, a stressful job. She has 5 kids. Like, it's a lot, but yet she still has to learn how to take care of her health, right? So that's just an example of how we will work for her. Obviously, giving her a goal of 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night probably not realistic, right? But that's okay because there's flexibility within that. And we'll teach her how to, rest and recover on the days that she's able to get, sleep through the night. And that's just one example. But all that to say, in that 6 months of food freedom coaching program, we will really help you establish that clear why and that clear vision. You're actually reminded of it every single week before you get on a call with your dietitian. The very first question to a quick check-in form that we ask our clients to fill out before is, what is my goal and why is it important to me? And that simple reminder each week is enough for you to be like, oh, this is why I got this, So the other parts of that form is like, we'll ask questions like, how do you rate your week on a scale of 1 to 10? And we tend to be our own self-critic. We tend to really be hard on ourselves, but as they fill out that form, they realize, oh, wow, I actually did pretty awesome this week. I don't know why I'm so hard on myself. I did pretty good. And the dietitian's there for them, even between their calls. They get on the calls with their dietitian and they have the opportunity to talk about strategies to highlight what they're doing well and to talk about opportunities for improvement and all throughout that. But even in between those calls, they have support where they can message their dietitian, so if they're going to a restaurant, they're going out to eat, and they have this whole plan to, how they're going to navigate this Italian restaurant. And now their spouse is like, actually, let's do Mexican. And now instead of having anxiety and trying to figure out how am I going to navigate this, they could just message their dietitian. A lot of people describe it as having a dietitian in their pocket. Just be like, what do you think? They can send them the menu, review it. And it's really just a lot of support, a lot of accountability, a lot of structure without the restriction, a lot of encouragement, motivation, and healing, and finally helping them to break up with these restrictive eating patterns and behaviors, this all or nothing mindset, into really just learning how to care for themselves in the best way that they can. And the 6-month food freedom coaching program is something that I really, really believe is the one thing that everybody needs to do. They need to just invest in 6 months and allow themselves to heal and create the space in the container to heal so they can then make the progress, get the results, keep the results, and understand and learn how to continue to make progress if they choose to, or just at least establish the habits and behaviors to continuously make them successful in being that new person, that vision that they had from the beginning, becoming that person and loving that person and feeling confident and energized and clear and guided. And now they have all of this headspace to focus on real things, life, situations. They're just better equipped to handle things, and they're more aware and present with their loved ones because they're no longer worrying about what to eat, when to eat, how much to eat. They're no longer stressing about what to wear, if they should go out, if they shouldn't go out. And instead, they're truly just themselves, and they love themselves, and they're proud of themselves. And it's such a freeing place. Honestly, it's such a freeing place. I just bumped into someone actually recently who graduated. We go to the same gym together, and she's like, Tony, you freed me. You freed me. She's like, I've never felt stronger, more confident, more energized. And not for nothing, she used to have sleep apnea. She used to have high cholesterol. She used to be pre-diabetic. All of that's gone. All of that's gone. And yes, she's lost weight and she's continuing actually to lose weight, but that's not even the big celebration. Yeah, she's dropped pan sizes. Yeah, she feels amazing. But the big celebration is she's like, I just feel free. You deserve to feel free. Let us help you break the chains. Let us help you find this food freedom, which is peace with food, peace with your body. And it's such an incredible place. Guys, I know it sounds so foreign. And trust me, when I was struggling with my body image and I was struggling with my food, I would not have believed you. I really wouldn't. And you read about it in my book. I was a lost cause. It was just not good. I was not in the right mindset. I did not have a healthy mindset. I was obsessed with food. And even when I thought I became healthy and healed myself, I was obsessed with eating healthy. It was ridiculous. But I'm proud of myself because I overcame that. And now I help other people. And my dietitians have very similar stories and we're helping you. And I'm just so excited. I'm excited for you. So in any way that you choose to get help, just know that if you invest in yourself in the smallest way by purchasing the Once Upon a Diet book, or even making sure that you're active in the free Facebook group, or you get the Healthy Livings Foundations course, which, by the way, you have lifetime access. It never expires, which also both the Healthy Livings Foundations course and the one-to-one coaching program comes with an app where you can take unlimited records, food records with your food, take photos of your food, help with that mindfulness. The Healthy Livings Foundations course is actually included in the 6-month to Food Freedom coaching program. So the 6-month to Food Freedom coaching program, the number one question I always get asked is, what is the investment, and do we take insurance? So number one, the investment depends on how much accountability you need. So that we'll explore on your discovery call. So go to www.tipswithtony.com/coaching to watch the video about the program and fill out the application below it. And then we'll hop on a call and see if you're a good fit. And then if you are a good fit, based off of what your needs are, I'll let you know the 2 different ways in which you can work with us. And that's going to be based off of the accountability component. And that will determine the price. In regards to insurance, we do not take insurance directly. We can create what's called a super bill to potentially get you reimbursed for through your insurance, but it's a little tricky. It depends on your insurance company. It also depends on the diagnosis. It depends if you were referred. So I can't make guarantees. I have worked with people in the past that did get reimbursed, and I have worked with people in the past that tried and did not. So full transparency, I do not know. What I will say is that whenever you're making an investment in yourself, think of it as an investment, not something you spend money on, right? It's so easy for us to say like, oh yeah, we're going to go on this all-inclusive trip and vacation. And that's a beautiful thing, but that's a very temporary thing, right? We want you to be able to go on that trip and vacation and feel clear and feel confident and feel happy and feel energized and not have anxiety or worry about what you eat and not have worry about what you're going to wear and not worry about the bathing suit that you have to try on. We want to free you of all of that. So every trip you go on after that is the best trip you've ever been on, right? And we want your life to feel equally as great as your vacations, okay? So if you're interested in working with us one-to-one, go to www.tipswithtony.com/coaching. If you're interested in the course, go to www.tipswithtony.com/courses. If you want to get the book, it's on Amazon. And if you want to join the Facebook group, it's Healthy Lifestyle Support with Tony. All of those links will be in the show notes. All right, guys, I am so grateful for you. Thank you. I know this episode was a little bit longer today, but I think it's super important that you are aware of the 5 things that you're doing that are preventing you from making progress. And I hope that I empowered you enough to shift that and make changes so that you can make progress and feel really good about what you're doing and where you're at. All right, that is it for me today. Thank you so much for listening. I'm Tony Marinucci, your registered dietitian, helping you get healthy one bite at a time.